Lance Corporal Joshua C. Alonzo, Captain James Norman Blankenship, William Payne, Technical Sergeant Tommy L. Faulkner, Private First Class Teodoro Urinda, Staff Sergeant Manuel Urinda, Commander Roy B. Jarnigan, Major George C. Miller, Captain Tom M. Kritzer, Chief Petty Officer Jack B. Kelly, Sergeant Jeff Knickerbocker, Motor Mechanic Mate Francisco L. Ornelius, Seaman E4 Harvey D. Austin, Sergeant James A. Homer, Private First Class Herbert Louise Greiner, Jr., Sergeant Pablo Orta, Sergeant Percy Sturkey, Private First Class Jimmy Flowers, Private First Class Hiram Powell, Sr., Private First Class Hiram Powell, Jr., Lorenzo R. Vigil, Master Sergeant Jesse G. Wilkins, Major Carlton S. Turley, Private First Class Thomas L. Bunch, Seaman E3 Darrell Cooper, Staff Sergeant Clinton L. Massey, Corporal Orland G. Lacer, Master Sergeant Lewis P. Gerard, Airman Second Class Roger W. Murray, Engineer's Mate Third Class Edward R. Hogendorn, Specialist First Class John W. Shell, Technical Sergeant James L. Brashears, Staff Sergeant Richard Sharp, Fireman E3 Luther E. Holmes, Private Bryce L. Fessler, Corporal Tommy Otis Bunch, Lieutenant Colonel Bruce Minor, Lance Corporal Thomas E. Creek, Captain Stanley Sapp, Master Sergeant Tom Dockery, Private James Nation, Corporal George A. Little, Seaman First Class Clifton Houseman, Jr., Private First Class Carol D. Coulter, Corporal James Patton, Sergeant Billy Butler, Sergeant Jackie D. Wood, Hospitalman Third Class Christy White, Sergeant Tuck Cornelius, Russell Hawkins, John Carpenter, First Lieutenant W. W. Carter, Corporal Ernest Austin, Private First Class Wayne Anderson, Petty Officer First Class Jack E. Graham, Specialist Ronald McQuistion, Staff Sergeant Robert Edgewood Lee, Sergeant Richard C. Crandall, Private First Class Guy Yates, Commander John Lund, Flight Officer Burnell Lund, J. Wayne Groover, David W. Groover, Wayland Tolbert. Captain Robert Merriman. Master Sergeant Willie E. Robinson. Technical Sergeant James Bowen. Sergeant Rodney W. Langford. Corporal A. B. Tiffy, Jr. Specialist 4th Class Gary L. Heading. First Sergeant Albert S. Chisholm. Colonel Al N. Jenkins. First Lieutenant Jesse Brown White. Private 1st Class Kirk R. Clements. Corporal Robert L. Maxwell. Private 1st Class Donald R. Glenn. Staff Sergeant John W. Lamaster. Specialist 5th Class William Kurt von Ossiski. Private 1st Class Paul J. Johnson. Engineer's Mate 3rd Class Thomas D. Smith. Airman 2nd Class Carl Steinmetz. Specialist 4th Class Luther Green. Captain Arthur Davidson. Sergeant John Alvarado. Petty Officer 3rd Class Robert W. Poole, Sr. Gary Taylor. Master Sergeant Carl E. Bruce. Corporal Theron J. Messer. Sergeant Gary W. Jackson. Lieutenant Colonel Wilbert E. Scott. Captain Robert J. Hibbets. Signalman 3rd Class William C. Mosley. Private 1st Class Beveridge L. Lawrence, Jr. Corporal Joe Broad. Major Ernest F. St. Clair. Sergeant King Thomas, Jr. Sergeant Leroy Lovett. Sergeant Earl W. Parget. Aviation Chief Robert M. Watson. Staff Sergeant Jerry D. Lane. Don C. Curl. Tech Sergeant Henry Nick Miller. Renee Hebert. First Lieutenant William J. Ferran. Corporal Williard H. Harris. Colonel Helen M. Norris. Commander Clark E. Wooldridge. Private 1st Class Claude S. Williams. Private 1st Class Melton C. Williams. Sergeant Roy L. Pendergraft, Jr. Motorman's Mate 2nd Class H. Dean Bigham. Technician 5th Grade Benny Solano. Engineer's Mate Donald H. Mansell. Lieutenant Colonel Gwen W. White. Midshipman Miriam Minor. Seaman 1st Class Claude D. Farner. Corporal Clyde H. Jeffus. Corporal Harvey L. Ratliff. Signalman 1st Class Robert W. Wilson. Esmel D. Garcia. Major George Mauger. Lieutenant Sterling E. Kinney. Lieutenant Junior Grade William H. Atterbury. Herman O. Luera. Corporal Edward Andrade. Staff Sergeant Nelson E. Cash. Private First Class Clifford H. Frazier. Private First Class Jack N. Palmer. Robert S. McCart. Captain Delbert H. Ballingy. Sergeant David C. Roberts. Captain James T. Kearney. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Rainey. Corporal Jimmy R. Dendy. Sergeant Russell Hanna. Corporal Jack D. Moss. Boiler Technician Walter Cota. Claude Davis, Jr. Sergeant Douglas True. Engineer 4th Class Raymond T. Kennedy. Master Sergeant James O. Sprouse. Ward Atkins, Jr. Richard LeGrand. Senior Master Sergeant Leslie R. Dees. PFC Nestor Singh. Specialist First Class Charles E. Bell. Private First Class Mickey Jennings. Corporal Donald J. Kelly. Staff Sergeant Gregory Basting. Private First Class Herman Green. Petty Officer 2nd Class Wayne Purcell. Warrant Officer Jack R. Kosagen. Private First Class Basilio Flores. Seaman First Class Joe Douglas Moss. Sergeant Jack Wayne Moss. Private First Class William H. Pope. Peter Aboyesis. Charles Raymond Steed. Sergeant W. H. Simpson. Captain Orville Dean. Staff Sergeant Robert L. Spray. Petty Officer 3rd Class David Morris Arterburn. James Franklin Smith. Captain Ben Bruckner. First Sergeant Antonio Flores. Specialist 5th Class Gary H. Watson. First Lieutenant James Lauder. Airman Gary Von Scoy. Private First Class Timothy Sherwood.